Alright, for this video, we are going to be unboxing Tomioka Giyu or Giyu Tomioka off of Demon Slayer or Kimetsu no Yaiba. This figure was made by Aniplex. He's a 1/8 scale and he stands about around 8.5 inches tall. He was released a little bit earlier this year on April 29th of 2022. So for this figure, I actually was shopping around for him late last year. I got into this hobby around last summer and everywhere the pre-orders were gone. So I had notifications on various websites and basically 10 months later, 9 months later, I was able to get a restock on this figure on hobbygenki.com. So I ended up paying for him on Thursday, June 2nd. They gave me some shipping quotes on Tuesday, June 7th. So I ended up paying for FedEx and it ended up shipping out on that same day on Tuesday, June 7th. So the figure price was 17,990 yen, which comes out to be $139.92. For the shipping for FedEx, it was 7,500 yen, which came out to be $56.88. Altogether, the total was 25,490 yen, which comes out to be $196.80 is what I paid for this figure. One little issue to note, Hobby Genki, they quoted me 7,300 FedEx shipping, but they actually ended up charging me 7,500. But, it was only about a couple dollars difference, so hey, I just went ahead and paid for it anyways. It's just one little thing about the customer service. This is my second purchase from them. On my last order, I paid for DHL, they sent FedEx, and then for this shipment, they quoted me 7,300, but they charged me a little bit more, 7,500. That's just kind of something to be aware of. It's not too big of a deal. This is something I'm going to be paying attention to as I get more and more orders from Hobby Genki. Before I start unboxing this, please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. I'm about at 258 subscribers as of June 14th. And like I always do on all my videos, I just want to give a shout outs to anyone that's commented. So I just want to give a shout outs to Fini, XXOPXX fan, and Farasha Hanem. I just want to say I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys. And don't forget to check out my blog at otakusin.com. That is where I do figure reviews there as well. Anything that happens with the figures, I'll definitely update it there. Anything I miss in the video, it's a lot easier for me to update it in a blog. So go check that out. And also I cover other animes. So right now I'm doing episode reviews over Spy Family and The Rising of the Shield Hero Season 2. Check out that blog and check out my other YouTube videos where I do many other unboxings on other figures that I have. And let's go ahead and unbox this. This is my second package that I've gotten from hobbygenki.com. One thing that it kind of stood out to me, not so much the box, is a pretty basic brown box, but there's specifically Aniplex plus like tape. So that was kind of interesting. So it looks like the box fit in that brown box like perfectly. So it makes me think that brown box was the Aniplex box itself. It looks like they just kind of have it bubble wrapped, which gives me a little bit concerned because just in case, boxes, they get dented up. I'm not too sure if this box would have survived if that brown box had a dent or something happened with the shipment. Just one important thing to note. All right, when it comes to the Aniplex figure boxes, I'm always, pretty happy about what they do. You pretty much have, a certain kind of design and theme that they go with. Obviously, Tomioka water breathing, so you're gonna have this kind of blue kind of design. And then you have the cutouts on the top, and of course, they have the kanji on there in the same kind of typeface style as the logo. Other than that, there isn't anything too big to write home about the box, but it's pretty cool for what it's worth. But yeah, but most important thing, right, it's keeping the figure in good shape. You have the manual right here in a little plastic. Then inside the box, there isn't too much going on with the inside of it. for the parts. Yeah, the figure. The base. And here they have the sword kind of taped onto the box. So you want to just kind of take out that little tape. So this figure basically comes in 4 different pieces: a base, another attachment base, a sword, and then the figure itself. Here's the manual. So this figure comes in 4 different pieces. We are going to attach this piece to the base, and then we're going to put the figure onto the base and then the sword into his hand. So let's go ahead and give that a shot. So as you can see right here, there's like a little hole to put in the peg. This is a very simple assembly, as you see right here, this little piece. You just want to go ahead and stick that on there. You can hear there's like a little kind of scrunch of like the plastic kind of fitting in. So far so good. The base itself, like, it doesn't feel that heavy, it doesn't feel too fragile, and it feels appropriate. And then next up, it's the figure of Tomioka himself. So on the figure there are 2 different pegs, so one in the back and one in the front. So you just want to make sure that you fit it in these 2 holes, and the holes are very simple to identify. The front leg right here, the back leg, there's one all the way back here. So let's go ahead and put that in there. You can see with my left hand right here, I'm just pushing that in. You just want to make sure this front foot is aligned. You know, it might be a better idea to put on the figure on first actually, and then put on that second part of the base. As you can see on his back leg, the peg goes all the way in. On the side of the figure, I can't necessarily get his whole foot to get in there. It's still kind of protruding out a little bit, not that big of a deal. So I guess for this figure, it's just the peg right there is going to be protruding out just a little bit. Not too big of a deal. It's supposed to be facing pretty much this way anyway, so it's alright. And then the katana. So it's going to stick into this part of his hand. As you can see right here, the hole looks pretty big to kind of slide into his hand. Once again, you don't need the base on him. You can put that last attachment base on him last, so it definitely gets in the way. Looks like you kind of just have to shove it in there and hope for the best. And you just want to make sure the force that you apply is really tight together, because if you're doing too wild, you are going to bump into the base, and I could see so many different ways that you could break the base. So just make sure you have this attachment base off first before you apply the figure and the sword, because it definitely totally gets in the way. So let's put this back on again. There you have it. So welcome to the review portion of the video. So let's talk about the price. If you guys are still surviving inflation and don't care about your stocks and crypto tanking, there's only one other choice where your excess money can go, and that is anime figures. So for about 18,000 yen, which comes close to $140, and you don't mind taking the slower boat option, you should be paying probably around $160. Even when you look at the Aniplex stores like Right Stuff Anime in the US, you're looking at about $208 plus the tax and shipping. Even at those prices, this figure is a pretty good value even at those prices. When it comes to the assembly of this figure is quite frankly pretty darn easy, just like most of the other kind of scale figures. So for this figure, just make sure to put on the added base part last to avoid like the figure bumping into that attachment as you're putting on the figure body and sword. Adding the sword into his hand was actually a really simple process. You just want to make sure you don't slip up, and then just make sure to keep a tight grip as you're pushing the sword into his hand. Other than those 2 key things, similarist figure it's really easy. When it comes to the aesthetics of this figure, you know, in general, I'm pretty impressed with how it looks in person compared to the prototype pictures. I mean, how are you gonna make some splish splash water effects look cool? So the answer, obviously lies within the waves, like the white part of the effects of the water. It just gives a little bit more oomph to his look, making the figure look a little bit more alive. It's a lot easier to make flames on a figure like Rengoku look cool because, it's freaking flames. So doing something dynamic with like a water technique seems to be like the more impressive feat. I was worried about this figure because the Giyu figure himself he's not centered in the middle. With his katana in his right hand, the water effects extends out a little bit more, which places the figure more looking like on the left side of the overall figure. Maybe they could have made like the water effects on the figure on the left side extend out maybe further, but that probably would have made the figure maybe cost more or bigger. But that's not really that big of a deal to me, but it's something that you might want to take note of. One other thing to take note of is the figure itself is kind of facing downwards. When you display him, think about putting him a little bit higher up so you can enjoy the pose at his best angle. And I think his best angle is like when he's slightly taller than you, because when he's doing this technique, he's looking a little bit down. If he's like too low, it's kind of hard to see the overall features of the figure. So yeah, at his best angle, I think you guys should probably display him a little bit higher than, wherever you're kind of sitting or standing. So that's just something to keep in mind. But overall, the design is still pretty good. And I think this is the best version of this character, of the figure of him out. When it comes to any painting errors, it's always in the most obvious parts of the figure. That's the intricate design of the figure. His kimono with the kind of checkered pattern, you'll see some paint bleed over to other parts of the design. It's a lot harder to kind of pick up to the naked eye, but with a decent phone camera or any camera, you'll notice it up close. Also on the belt and the button part of his body, the painting can look a little bit messy, although it's not that noticeable to the naked eye. Ultimately, when it comes to like painting errors, for my personal determination if it's acceptable or not just depends on how poorly it affects my viewing experience in the display case. Since that's pretty much my metric, those like small little details on the painting are like way too minor and not significant enough for me to notice. So if I was able to really notice those little small like errors when it's in the display, then I would probably have a problem with it. But you don't notice any of that kind of stuff, or I don't at least. So when it comes to the quality of the paint, I still think it's in that acceptable to kind of good range. To kind of give some comparisons to this figure against like some other ones, especially other brands that made this character, what makes a figure by Aniplex and this one specifically better than compared to the Figure Art 01, and I think it's the size and the overall quality of the paint and sculpting. This figure is about 1/8 scale, and then the Figure Art 0 is generally about like a 1/12 scale. The painting and the sculpting is generally a lot cleaner, and compared to the Figure Art Zeros that I have right now, compared to the Mega House and then the Aniplex one, there's clearly a difference in the painting and in the sculpting quality, and also the Kotobukiya one as well. So what makes this one better than the Giyu Kotobukiya Artifacts J version? It's obviously the special effects of the water. The Kotobukiya one, it's more of a simplistic look. And I think, at least by the prototype pictures, I think the face on the Aniplex one is a little bit more accurate. I kind of like the face more on this one. So, yeah, compared to what's out there, if you guys want like the best looking one, in my opinion, it is this one. So, do I recommend this figure? And that is clearly a yes. This is by far my favorite design of this character. There's so many other cheaper, less fantastical designs of him out there. My personal preference is like more dynamic poses, cool, elaborate bases. Add in like the accurate sculpting of the figure and especially the face. This is like a must get if you are a fan of this character. And, I think Aniplex did a really, really good job. Aniplex and Wing. So on eBay, I've seen him sold for around $200, which is, basically what I got for this figure. I paid roughly around $196 with DHL shipping, FedEx shipping added on there. So just right now in the US, I think there's still some stores that's lagging behind. So keep out for like restocks or releases. Look out for Right Stuff Anime if you're in the US. Other than another restock at Hobby Genki, it's most likely you'll have to buy this figure on the reseller market. But as of right now, you could probably still be able to buy this figure for around $200, even at a reseller price from Japan. At least that's what I've seen on eBay. So yeah, in my opinion, guys, I think if you guys are questioning whether or not you should get this figure, the clear answer is yes. If you want the best figure that's out there, I think this is the one. And I think it's a very, very good price for the quality that you're getting. So I'm really, really happy with this purchase. And yeah, that is pretty much all I have to say. So don't forget to like, subscribe, comment for the algorithm. Check out my blog at otakusen.com. I cover other animes, like for right now I'm covering Spy Family and the Rising of the Shield Hero Season 2. And of course the figure reviews are there as well. So I try my best to keep those blogs updated whenever something significant happens to the figures. Don't forget to check out my other YouTube videos. I have other unboxing videos. And I'm wanting to create more and more content as the year goes along. So just keep an eye out for that. Once again, guys, I appreciate you guys. I have nothing but love to give. And I'll see you guys on the next video.